Everything is great, positive.
Good to hear. I can
Uh,
see you are in your sporting gear. You just came back from a jog?
just now I came from gym.
Oh, great. I think what time it is over there? 12 o'clock?
Yeah, it's 12 p.m.
12 p.m. Good. So I
Firstly,
understand that you are a student, right? You're studying.
yeah, I've done my master's. Now I'm getting trained as AWS DevOps engineer role.
Oh, that is good. It's good to hear. Great.
So apart from this, I'm interviewing experts like you who are already in the IT industry from a long time, handling different projects and solving different problems for different industries with technology.
No, I actually went through your website and I really liked it because usually what happens is we are accustomed to talking to people in our same field. So we always talk about the same thing, same technology. But I went through a couple of interviews that you had posted recently, and it was good to hear, talking to people from different disciplines, uh, talking about different aspects of life, different aspects of technology, not just limiting to a specific technology, but problem solving in general and so on. I really like the concept. That's great.
Uh, your feedback and your words are extremely valuable.
What you are doing, that is great.
So, in a similar way, I thought to explore you and the work that you're doing and tell about the work that you're doing to my audience.
Definitely. I'll be glad to share, whatever or how much I can. Happy to.
So, can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Yes, so my name is Naweed Akram. I'm working as a solution architect in a private asset management firm here in Bahrain. Uh, I have been in IT industry for almost 22, 23 years now. I started off my career as a software developer. I started working with Visual C++, then moved on to Java, then to .NET platform when it came out in 2001. So ever since the beta came out, I had been working with that. So for the good part of my career, I worked as a software developer, mostly working on Microsoft .NET technologies, different technologies ranging from web to desktops to services. But then over the past 8, 9 years, I have switched gears and I am now basically I moved into the business analysis role, wherein I was working more with the business departments directly to understand what their requirements are, find a fitment to a technical solution and work with the technical teams to implement those solutions. So at the moment, for the last 4 or 5 years, I'm working as a solution architect and tech innovations lead. I know it sounds a very complicated and futuristic kind of a title, but it is not. It is mostly a combination of uh, doing the business analysis part for the business and then looking into the fintech space because I'm in the private equity sector. So looking into the fintech space to understand what is happening newly in the world of technology, what other things are coming, let's say related to regulations, to distribution, to technology, to payments, and so on, and finding a use case within our business to implement those, and then work with the partners and and implement. So that is primarily my role in my current job.
So, you are an solutions architect also. You worked as a developer and you are an evangelist. So you started your career 20 plus years back, uh, working on development of the software. So what was your educational qualifications and how was that start?
So my educational background is I did bachelor's in computer science. I completed back in 2000, but even before I completed in 2000, for the last 2 years, I was working on some software projects. I was lucky to get exposure to a few outside companies who wanted to do some projects for their firms, and they reached out to my university, to my professors, and they said, we want some good developers or good people who are willing to learn. So that's where I started working using Visual C++. And I was lucky to get an exposure, a real world exposure, because I can tell you the kind of qualification that I have, the educational qualification, that is very much different to what you are studying in computer science today. I don't even think they have a proper discipline called computer science these days. In my days, when I did the 4 years bachelor's in computer science, that computer science was purely computer science. It was not about programming languages. You would be surprised, in my 4 years of studies, the only couple of courses that I studied on programming were I think I took one course on Fortran, which was a mathematical language used primarily for building engineering applications. And the second application, or the second language that I learned in the university, was C++. That's it. And that too actually was part of an object-oriented programming language course. So that's all we studied in those days. We were focusing more on the algorithms, the data structures, object orientation, operating systems, networking, I don't know, Petri nets. I mean, God knows what. All theory. So even for the database course that we studied, so there were a couple of courses. One of them was on relational database management systems, and no one taught us that you have to go learn Oracle. Oracle was the major or the most prominent DBMS at that point in time. So we had to go and learn all these tools and technologies and languages on our own, because the university was focused more on teaching the concepts. And I agree where they were coming from, because in those days, I started working with computers in 1992. So my first computer, by the way, was a 286 computer. I don't know if you have heard of those names. 80286 architecture. It was way before, maybe 10 years before or 12 years before the Pentium architecture, or maybe uh, I don't know, 20 years before the Core i3s or the Core i5s or the Core i7s that you know today. So it was a totally different architecture altogether, different uh, processing capabilities, and you would be surprised the amount of RAM that I had on my PC at that point in time was 640 kilobytes. That was the RAM that I got. 640 kilobytes. So imagine that, not even megabytes. So I'm talking about little over half a megabyte. And these days we are talking about computers with 16 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs. Some are even talking about 64 gigs and so on. Even my desktop that I'm running at home, that has 32 gigs of RAM. And the hard disk that I had in those days, by the way, in those days, hard disk was not something that was a must-have or a basic part of the PC. It was more of a luxury item. So I went in all out. When I started, there was no hard disk. And then I had to, because I was a student, so I had to make a deal with my parents that, okay, if I get good marks, you are going to buy me a hard disk. And the hard disk that I got at that time was 20 megabytes. So imagine. So where I'm trying to get to, that we had limited amount of RAM and limited amount of storage, unlike today. So any application that we used to write, we had to write it in a very optimized way. We had to save even single byte of memory, or work on saving single kilobyte of storage on the disk. Today we are talking about terabytes of storage space, gigabytes of RAM. Developers today do not even care about writing optimized programs. They use frameworks, be it a Java framework or a .NET framework or anything. They just bring in a lot of dependencies, a lot of libraries, and for a very simple hello world program that translates into a few megabytes of application code or the executable. Whereas in those days, the applications that we created, even very complex applications, they were few kilobytes. I'm not even talking about few hundred kilobytes, few kilobytes, less than 100 kilobytes. So that's where our education was slightly different. these days when I'm looking at the curriculum for many of the universities, they are very heavily focusing on programming languages and technologies. They're talking about, let's say, I don't know, C Sharp or Java or Python or, R language or Oracle or SQL Server or SQLite and so on. They're talking about tools and technologies, not on the underlying uh, algorithms, not on the basics of computer science. So things were a little different. So for me, it was a good opportunity to work with someone from the industry, even while I was still studying, and learn about uh, uh, some technologies on my own. Of course, the person that I worked with, he helped and he guided me a lot. He provided me some books as well. And in those days, yes, books were the major things. We had two major publishers, Rocks and Apress. So we had to go and buy books, and books were extremely expensive. Not like today, where you go Google and you get everything that you want. You get YouTube videos, tutorials. Life was totally different, man, back then. Totally different. But yes, I started with .NET development when I started my career, and ever since I've been working. And even though when I say now I'm working as a solution architect, so in my day job for the last 10 years, you would be surprised. I have not written even a single line of code in my work because my role is totally different over there. I oversee the work that other people are doing. I guide them on technical aspects. I design or build architectures. Uh, uh, I work on the integrations, and then I get the teams to work on those. I don't write any code myself in my work line, but deep down, I'm still a developer at heart. So even though I'm not doing anything on programming in my work, I keep myself busy. I do some work on my own, especially around mobile development. I work on some libraries. I contribute to open source projects. Uh, I help out the community. I make some videos around specific technologies for people to benefit from those. So that's what I do in my spare time, just as a hobby. So that's where the evangelist part that you mentioned comes in.
So you told about the education system that was there before. Now you're trying to compare with the present education system, and you're trying to point out the loopholes or the main things that has to be focused. So today you are solutions architect. Now you are working as for the business team as a business analyst, trying to understand the requirements of the clients and trying to build a technology that matches with the business requirements. So which which you are doing for last 10 years. So what is this business? What you experienced in this 10 years talking with people and learning and trying to create something from nothing.
Yeah. Before that, let me just correct one thing. So I am not saying that there are any loopholes in the current education system. It is just that the education has the mechanism of delivering education has changed. So in those days, I gave you the example because we had very limited, for example, RAM or storage space, and we had to work on optimizing our code, and computer science was considered more of science at that point in time. So that's where we spent most of our time on the algorithms and data structures and understanding the core concepts of operating systems and database management systems and so on. So that was the focus at that point in time. So now these days the structure has changed, but that does not mean that today what we are doing or learning is wrong. Definitely not. This is the demand of today's world. Now we are talking about very inexpensive, powerful computers. I don't know if you are following the Apple space. They came up with the new silicon architecture 2 years ago, and at very very low cost, the kind of computing power that you're getting with these silicon chips is just amazing. You are now talking about the latest 12th gen or 13th gen Core i7s, Core i9s, uh, very fast RAM. So things have changed. So to adapt to that, it is not that it is a loophole. They are teaching things differently to the kids or people who are studying in universities and colleges. So it's a different thing altogether. Now, coming back to my work in the past 10 years, the business analyst and the solution architect role that I was playing, it is a bit of a challenging role. Definitely, it was not comfortable with me when I started off on this journey or when I transitioned from being a developer to the business side. But for me, what I did, I had been working and building business applications for financial applications I was making. I was building applications related to HR management for private equity lines of businesses. So I had fair idea of what the business is all about. And it was up to me at that point in time. Being a developer, I went an extra mile. I did not just take orders from other business analysts or people who told me that, Naveed, go and make this application or build this solution. And this is the design, this is the architecture, these are the requirements. So even at that point in time, I took it upon myself to, question the business directly or question the business analyst, question the architects, work with the designers, propose solutions from my side, learn from them. And that actually gave me an opportunity to transition into this role. Because if I had just worked as a developer, like I have seen many of people these days do. In fact, some of the developers that I work these days, they're more than happy just taking orders. Whatever I tell them, they will not question anything. They will just go and implement. This is the kind of attitude, I would say, which will not help you grow. So you have to spend a little bit of extra effort, make an extra effort to move into the future role. You have to decide where you want to be. Do you want to remain a developer for the rest of your life, or do you want to move into higher roles? So for me, I would say probably leaving out the business analyst part. Maybe you should start as a developer, but you have some sight, into the future, saying, okay, in 5 years' time, I want to move into a senior developer role. In 10 years from now, I want to become a technical architect. Maybe after that, 20 years down the line, I want to become an enterprise architect. So you set a goal for yourself and you move and you work towards that. So that's very, very important. This is, I would suggest for everyone, don't stick to the status quo. Always challenge the status quo. Try to improve yourself. Learn on a daily basis. No matter how expert you think you are, always learn. That's my advice. Or whenever I talk to any youngster these days, I tell them that don't stop learning. That is the most important thing. If you become stagnant, technology, computing, the world is moving too fast. You will be left behind. So you keep upgrading yourself. So now coming back to the working with the business, that as I mentioned, it was a bit of a challenge, but at least I got a head start from my previous development work. To complement that, what I did, I went into actually I started somewhere in 2010. I remember 2010 or 11. I started studying for my MBA. So I completed my MBA in 2012 or 2013. So it was a 2 years, full-fledged, full-time program, which I participated in with the university here in Bahrain. So I was working in my organization during the morning hours, and then 6 to 9 every day I was going to the university. So that was my life for 2 years, and that actually helped me understand the basics or the background of financial world, the organization that I was working for. So it gave me better insights into the domain. And then when I started talking to business, it made more sense to me. I started reading about more about how other organizations in the world in the similar space. Let's say your KKRs, your BlackRocks, your Blackstones, your UBSs or RBSs of the world, what they are doing in the tech space, what they have been implementing. Let's say someone is implementing a private equity management system XYZ, or someone is trying to build their own private equity management system because they have very bespoke requirements, or someone is implementing a data warehouse using X and Y technologies. So these are the kind of things I started looking into, and then I suggested those to the business. It is not always that what you propose goes through. I mean, that's the nature of the work we are in. But at least I can say that I have very receptive management. So they do hear out and they ask us to do proper, conduct POCs on those, find the right fitment to the technical solutions, and propose it to the management. And then based on so many factors such as commercials, such as the requirements of the long-term and the short-term plans of the business, they give us a go-ahead to implement.
So, you worked as a developer and now you're doing evangelism, you're doing architecture work. So, what is the difference that you observed in talking with computer and talking with human beings?
Totally different. I don't know how to answer. Uh, Totally different things altogether. When you are talking to computers, basically, very simple, you are sitting on the computer, you want to create a program. The very first thing, you have the luxury of, time or when you want to work at your hand, right? But when you're talking to business, when you're talking to users, you are bound by the times that they also have to spend with you. That is the very first thing. Then on the computer, things are very different. You can go, you can Google, you can copy paste, and I think that's the nature of how programming works. And by the way, I don't have anything against copy paste. In fact, I do copy paste a lot. I do remember seeing a quote from someone that copy pasting is a great technology, and they said that the good developers, good programmers, they copy, and the great programmers, they paste. So don't reinvent the wheel. Uh, Go out, search for what is available, and just implement. Basically, copy paste, adapt it or change it to your requirements and implement. Whereas when you're talking to people, every time you talk to people, there are different requirements. There are new requirements. There are things which most likely have not been done before. So that is where it becomes very challenging. When you are working with the computers, you know exactly what needs to be done. When you're talking to people, you do not know exactly what you mean. As it may happen, we are talking over here. I may be trying to say something different, but you may be understanding it in a different way. If there are two people who are listening to me, one will understand it in a different way, the other will understand in another way. So that's how the challenge you have working or talking to people. So you have to be, I would say, very precise as well as concise. Make sure that you are talking to the point, you are not digressing, you are trying to articulate your point of view very clearly. And whatever someone is saying, you also somehow are able to comprehend. And if you cannot understand, you have to ask in a proper manner. Why I say proper manner? Because depending on who you talk to, your communication pattern is totally different. If you're talking to, let's say, people or peers at the same level, or maybe your juniors, let's say junior users, the way you communicate with them is totally different. But whereas if you're talking to, say, a director of a firm, or a senior partner in the company, or a CEO, you have to have or use a different tone altogether. You cannot, as an example, say, use any technical jargons, because those people do not understand when we say, integration platform or AWS or Lambdas or Azure functions. They do not understand any of these jingbangs. So you have to tone down, you have to uh, articulate your narrative in such a way that you can convey your message, and whatever they are saying in their language, you are also able to comprehend. So it's a huge challenge. It's totally different.
And I'm sure in this long period of your technology career, like you said, you worked as a developer, worked on, learned different tools, learned how to build software. Now you're into delivering the product and trying to understand what to design and what to create. So two different things. So when you are a builder, when you are under, doing the construction work of the software, I'm sure you might be working for softwares which belongs to different industries. In the same way, in the present job, you will be talking to different industries. So developing a software for develop different industries and talking with different industry people which software to build and what is the design. So how do you compare and what is the relation between it?
So I think, Sai, I mentioned a while ago. So the way it happens usually is when you're building software, when you're working as a software developer or an engineer or a programmer, you are not interfacing or interacting with the users directly. So basically, someone else, which, as an example, the role that I'm playing today, there will be someone else at that point in time who would be talking to business, understanding the business requirements, translating those into technical requirements, build a blueprint or a design of what needs to be done, what all integrations need to be done, what all technologies to be used, what programming languages to be used, how modular your code needs to be, what are, let's say, your service endpoints, and so on. So someone would have already decided that for you, and you as a developer, when you're building, you just take those designs or the blueprints which are given to you and you just code. Whereas in this role that I'm talking about, here you need to understand how different technologies work to start with. So you need to know what are the different technologies which are available to you. You definitely not need not know them in depth. You do not need to know the details of exactly how technologies work, but you need to have enough breadth of knowledge across different technologies and tech spaces. So you need to know, okay, there is AWS, there is Amazon, there is GCP, there is this, there is that. If I'm just talking about clouds, right? Even within the clouds, you need to know there are different options which are available to you. You have, as an example, you have serverless computing options. You have, virtual machines that you can spin up for your IaaS or infrastructure as a service that you can bring in. Or maybe you can go for a platform as a service components, maybe SQL Server on the cloud or an application service in Azure. Or you have SaaS offerings, software as a service. Maybe what the business requirement is, you do not need to build something. It's a commodity feature. Why do you need to spend time to build something where it's already available in the marketplace? A very simple example I'll tell you. Almost every organization has a requirement to have an HRMS system, human resource management system, right? And one simple thing, let's say your manager or someone from the business comes in and says, hey, you know what, we have been doing our payroll, we have been doing our HR management, our appraisals, everything in Excel files for so many years, let's say last 15-20 years. We want to implement an HRMS system, so can you build that for us? For me, as a solution architect and business analyst, the first question I would ask is, okay, what are your requirements? I would like to hear from them. And then I would say, okay, what you are asking for, this is a commodity thing. Everyone in the world, every organization in the world is doing exactly the same thing. Maybe they might be doing things slightly different. Okay. You may have one organizational unit. Someone may have 5 organizational units. You may have one payroll standard, let's say across the firm. Someone may have different payroll standard. Let's say for the admin staff, they are paying them differently. They have the concept of overtime, but for the professional staff and the senior management, they don't have the concept of overtime. That is fine. But this is a commodity business. We do not need to build something. There are so many great software which are available, solutions. Take an example. Workday is a leading HRMS system in this space. Why don't we go out, see what Workday can do for us and implement that and customize it? It's a SaaS offering. Similarly, you have Zoho. Zoho also has similar thing in this space. Why don't we look at that? Evaluate Zoho, evaluate Workday, evaluate XYZ, look at the price points for each of them, look at the capabilities, the customization abilities, the vendor support, so many things we look into, and then we say, okay, let's implement that. And even as a business analyst, sometimes what I do, if the business comes back saying, you know what, we are doing things in this particular way, let's say for human resources, we want to manage our employees in XYZ fashion. Okay, and no software that you mentioned can do that for us. Then the very first question I would say is, I would challenge the status quo. I would ask, do we need to do this differently? What makes us or makes you so different that you want to manage your employees differently, right? Everyone else in the world, millions of companies in the world are managing their employees in certain fashion, and you want to do this differently. Why do you want that? What benefit are you getting? Unless they come back with a compelling reason that, this is going to give us a competitive advantage, uh, I would tell them, no, stick to the industry standard. In fact, change your process as well. So that is the change management process we need to talk about. So when I'm working as a solution architect slash business analyst slash tech innovation lead, I am not just designing solutions. I am trying to understand what the business requirements are, challenge those, optimize or re-engineer those business processes, and then I have enough knowledge or at least a breadth of knowledge on the tech space. So then I say, fine, this is the right fitment to the tech solution that we want to implement. Now, this is how much it's going to cost if we build this, and I will lay out the design. Once it is approved, I'll hand over that design to our maybe internal development teams, or I'll work with vendor partners, whoever are expert in that particular technology, and ask them to implement that. And then on an ongoing basis, sometimes I will also get into project management as well, depending on how crucial or critical or important a project is, or what is the visibility of that project. I sometimes may want to get involved in the project management and keep a close tab on how the vendors or the developers are actually working and delivering. So that's what this role entails altogether. And you don't have to be bound to one technology. Don't think that, okay, you have worked your whole life in Microsoft.NET technologies as an example, so everything you try to do using .NET, or you have been using AWS for in your past 10 projects, doesn't mean that your next project is going to or can benefit from AWS. Maybe Azure might be a better fitment for them. It may be that organization already has a footprint in Azure. There is no point asking them to implement this one solution in AWS, as an example. So you have to look at so many different factors and then take the call.
Uh, can I say you're being very strong and confident while giving the advices or asking the clients why you need this, why you want to do this. This understanding, this total understanding for you came from the education that you have done years back, and also the strong understanding that you have on the infrastructure side of the technology, also the development of the software.
Sai, I would say, first of all, I'm not going to say that I'm an expert in this field, or I give always the right advice. Definitely not. But I would say this this is a combination of so many things, or maybe everything. So education definitely helps you. One of the things I was telling you about when we were doing computer science back in 95, 96 when I started. At that point in time, the education system was totally different, and I got to understand the inner workings of the computer. And then, having worked as a developer myself for quite a long period of time, and working on different technologies, even though I mentioned that Microsoft.NET was my primary development platform that I worked on, I never stopped learning. In my part time as a hobby, I used to do some side projects even then. So it's a combination of that. Then working with the business units and how much exposure you get. So a developer who may be excellent, from the technical angle, uh, But if he is not given any exposure to the business units, um, he is not going to learn. Okay, so it also depends on your bosses, your managers, how comfortable they are exposing you to business, or even how comfortable they are discussing potential solutions with you. Because what can happen is, in the case that I mentioned now, even the role that I'm playing, I do not design the architecture or design the solution in isolation on my own. I don't sit or lock myself in a room and come up with a blueprint and tell everyone, guys, or tell my team, here it is, just implement it to the dot. I don't do that. What I do, I come up with a high level architecture, whatever I think is right, then I bring in my team, and that team can be, anything from the actual business users on the ground to other technical architects to database developers to infrastructure teams to infosec teams to developers, and even opening it up to our partners, discussing the architecture and the plan and the design with them, because I may not have the full visibility. So never ever do I consider that what I'm doing is always right. I have strong opinions on what I want to do, but then I fine tune it. I ratify that with the help from the others. So as an example, when I say I bring in the actual developers into the mix. Now, someone will say, why do you need to do that? You just design something, give it to them. It is their job to do it. They're being paid to implement what you have designed. True, but they are the ones actually who are going to implement as well. So I need to hear their thoughts upfront. If we decide to go with this design, what are the challenges that they will face? Do they think from their angle, is there a better way of doing things? Maybe I'm thinking from one angle, but uh, hypothetically, just as an example, maybe I forgot about the sustainability or the maintainability of the code going forward. Maybe I designed it in such a way that it is going to fit our requirements today, but in future, if something else comes up, I may not be able to, or my design might not be able to sustain it, because these developers are also working on so many other projects. They have little visibility on, at least on some of the domain areas that they're working on. So again, coming back to, it all depends on the individuals. Not saying that all developers would grasp this opportunity and try to go over and above what their mandate is to learn for new things, but there are some developers who will do that, and these are the people I'm interested in talking to. I want to understand, okay, this is the solution I'm coming up with. Someone will come and say, hey, you know what you are doing for this system X, this is great, but you know what? We have a system Y which is doing part of what you are already trying to build. Can we not reuse that? I did that in my previous project. So these are the kind of things I want to hear, and I want to tweak my design to do that. So it's a combination of talking to different people, taking advice, keeping an open mind, and then at the same time being also confident. It you Whatever someone else is saying, you have to have a very strong opinion of your own, because if you do not, then anyone or maybe everyone can take you for a ride. Your solution will become a spaghetti mix of something which may not work. So you need to have certain mindset, and then you tweak or you optimize on that with the help of the others.
Uh, you are the evidence for the evolution of the technology of 20 plus years. So, what is the change that you observed in this change?
So on the technology side, I would say there are two major things I would like to focus on. One is definitely the hardware. I think you must have heard of the Moore's law, where every 18 months, sorry, the technology doubles in the compute power. I think that law is not holding anymore. Maybe even 6 months, every 6 months, the technology is doubling. So infrastructure has come a long way. Just the example I was giving you, my first computer in '92 versus the computer I have today, or forget about the computer, even a $2 Chinese device that I go and buy from a thrift shop over here, as an example, that would be more powerful than the computer that I had in 1992. I was just watching a documentary a while ago. The Voyager 1 and the Voyager 2 space missions, the satellites which have now exited our solar system and they are in the interstellar space. So those were launched in 79, 75, 79, around 30, 40 years now. And the camera that they had was not even in megapixels at that point in time. The computers on board, which are still functioning even, by the way, today, they keep sending signals from the interstellar space to us. Those computers, uh, they are maybe, way less than the cheapest Android phone that you can buy today. Right. So technology has come in a long way. So on the hardware side, on the infrastructure side, definitely things have changed. But other than that, it is also our behavior around technology, which is more important, which has changed. As an example, I started using mobile phones back in 1998 or 99. And that too, it was considered a luxury. We had certain limitations. It was very difficult to get your hand on a mobile phone, not the mobile phone, the device. Of course, that was expensive, but even the connection for that. And there were limitations. You would be surprised that the incoming calls used to be charged as well. It's not that you get a call and it's free for you. Even the SMS messages that you used to send, they had a limit in terms of not just how much they're charging you per SMS, but also how many SMS you can send per month. No matter how much you are willing to pay, you cannot send more than those number of SMS per month. So technology was limited. And these days, now you see what is happening. Your phones are very, very powerful. Everyone is doing almost everything on their mobile devices. I don't call more or less anyone on the landline or other mobile number. I just call them on WhatsApp, on Skype, on Microsoft Teams. That's how we have become used to. I'm not using text messages at all. I'm using WhatsApp. I'm using all the other technologies to communicate with the world. Up until maybe 3 years ago, I'll give you my example. So, this mobile payments has been around for quite a long time all over the world. So COVID actually accelerated that adoption to a great extent. So we have in Bahrain, we have something called a benefit pay, where it's an application that you install on your mobile device, and then you link it to your bank account. And if you want to make a payment, you just go and either scan a QR code or enter someone's mobile number, enter the amount, and immediately the money is transferred from your bank account to their bank account. And they get a notification instantly that the payment has been received. Now, before that, if we had to make a payment to anyone, even let's say for my kids' school fees, if I had to pay, I had to find time. First of all, I had to write check in the name of the school, put the amount. I had to find time to go to the school, to the accounts department, hand over the check, take the receipt. Now, everything is fully automated. They have just given us the IBAN code. I open my mobile whenever I get a notification that the school fees or tuition fees is due. I open the app. I have saved the IBAN number as the beneficiary. I select that, enter the amount, transfer, done. The money is transferred instantly. Things have changed a lot. Even while paying to say normal things, if I go to a grocery store to buy even a can of Coke, right? You would pay using the benefit pay. You would not pay this small amount of cash. You will pay using benefit pay. You go to a laundry, you will pay using benefit pay. So things have changed. Things have evolved greatly, and people have gotten accustomed to the technologies. Digital banking is one other example. You must have heard digital banks have been around for quite a long time. Even in Bahrain, where I'm residing for last 27, 28 years now, digital banks have been around for last 3, 4, 5 years. But during COVID, things changed. So just for fun, I said, okay, let me try this. I just opened a digital account, and you won't believe it took me literally 2, 3 minutes to open an account. All I had to do was just say register enter my mobile number. They sent me an OTP to confirm that this is in fact the right mobile number. They asked me for my email address. I entered the email address. They sent an OTP on the email to confirm that the email is correct. Then they asked me to do a liveness check. Basically, I held the phone in my hand and they asked me to move around so that they can confirm that I'm in fact the person. I'm a real person. I'm not using someone else's photo and so on. And then they asked me to scan my ID card using the camera of the phone. I did that using artificial intelligence. They found out or they checked that whether this ID card is tampered with or fabricated in any ways. They compared the picture that they have taken of you with the picture on your ID card. Now, in my case, you would be surprised that the ID card picture that I have is almost 10, 12 years old. And it does not look anywhere close to what I look today. But using AI, they were able to identify that, yes, this is in fact the same person. And then using the electronic KYC or know your customer databases in the region, they also connect and find out more information about me. They don't need to ask me about my salary, about my residential address, about so many things, which you typically do if you go to a brick and mortar bank today. And there's a huge long form that you have to fill with all these details. They go get out all this information for you, and immediately they said, okay, your account is open. This is your account number. I can now operate the whole bank account using my mobile phone. And I just opened it for fun, just to try it out. And you would be surprised that that has now become my primary bank. I have closed all my previous brick and mortar accounts, and I only am operating this one account, one digital account. Everything is on the phone. I don't even know where this bank is literally, physically in Bahrain. They don't have any physical branch, by the way. They only have this digital banking. I don't even know where the headquarters is, at least. But I know it's a big established regulated bank, so that's the comfort I have. On the artificial intelligence type side, lot has changed. If you are following ChatGPT, uh, OpenAI just announced GPT-4 2 or 3 days ago. And I have not tried GPT-4 myself, but I have been following what other people have been experimenting with it. And I've seen some YouTube videos. I've read some blog articles, people who have been posting amazing stuff on Twitter. And I don't know what to say. I mean, it's just unbelievable, unimaginable. 20 years ago or even 5 years ago, if you had asked, I would say I cannot imagine such a thing. But yes, that's how fast technology is changing and the impact it is having on our lives. I was just talking to someone and he was telling me that he used ChatGPT 2, 3 months ago. He wanted his son is applying for college in UK, I think. And as part of the admission process or application process, you have to write a letter to the college, telling them about yourself and why do you think you are a good fit for their college. And he told me that he asked ChatGPT to write a letter to that college, and it wrote a very, very, very good letter, and he just had to tweak slightly. He said it was 80-85% there. He just had to tweak it maybe 15-20%, and boom, he sent it to the university. So imagine the kind of benefit that you have. Otherwise, if you have to write such a letter, it will take you very, very long time if you are applying for a good college.
So let's talk about the top level technology, the global technology, because you have been in technology for a long time. Your observations are extremely. Uh, I believe that it will have in-depth analysis. I have some more questions. I don't know whether I can able to complete it in the given time of that you given me. It's
So we
already
can
15
we
minutes.
can we can go for another half an hour maybe if it is okay with you.
Yeah, because like more 10 to 15 minutes, I want to talk about something that is like next generation technology. And also, I have only 2% of charge. I didn't. So, yeah. So when you have time again, let's do like the 15 or 20 minutes which I want to attach with this conversation so that uh, your words will be out to my medium because I can see you have very great analysis about technology. But but I want to ask you now the questions. I will tell you questions. You can give me answers in the next session.
Sure.
So like you mentioned, the space missions that has been sent like 40, 30 years back. Now also you are talking about ChatGPT 4, which came few days back, which I understood is 8 times better than the previous version. We are
I think
able to solve
I
the,
think
yeah,
5 times better, I believe. That's what
yeah,
they're saying.
yeah, somewhere,
25 times
yeah.
more powerful, yeah.
Yeah, that so we came to here. So like you worked on uh, softwares which belongs to different industries and which belongs to different countries, which are working in different countries and solving problems of different religious people, different country people, different mindset people. So it is helping. Technology is everywhere. It is solving. So my next question would be like, I wrote a PhD entrance after my master's. Like I was preparing for computer networks, which is actually inspiration for me to do this global chat today with a lot of experts like you. Computer networks, which made me the computers are interconnected and networks are interconnected, data centers are interconnected, countries are interconnected, the planet today is interconnected. We all are sharing information and we all are interconnected. So this was not there before when you was playing with the computer, which came very early stages in technology. So I want to like from that to this today, and I want you to give answer for next 10 years because communication today is so much and teamwork. Like countries are working together like a team. So any team that works together, definitely there will be a lot of potential and there will be a lot of energy which will be generated, which helps us to maybe create a device or a or a infrastructure or physical thing which will allow or which will help us to travel in the light speed. So I want to ask you that question when we are going to going out of our planet and when we are going to create at what level we are in transferring information and in connecting right now today in 2023. So I want your analysis about this which definitely reaches top level people and also which uh, which makes them think.
Sure, sure. We can talk about that. Maybe I can advise you something, upfront as well. So when we are talking about the future, right, what is going to happen, I can provide my analysis for sure. I have been doing a lot of reading, but I will be very clear, under no circumstances that is going to be exactly how it will play out because technology, the way it is moving, is very fast. We don't know how quickly we'll be able to reach there or whether we'll be able to reach there or not. These are just anticipations. If you really want to get better idea, I would say you talk to Elon Musk. he can
I yeah
he can give you better idea about when we are going out to, let's say, Mars or to some other planet or the brain chip that he's working on. He's a better person for this, not me.
he's also an engineer who become businessman like you
Yes. I'm not
and
a I'm not a
you know,
businessman.
but
He's
you're
a
working on
he's
business side
he's the
of
second
the.
richest man in the world. I'm probably the second last richest man in the world.
So one thing I want to mention that when I was talking with the vice president of Amazon Web Services recently, Jeff Barr, so his analysis and your analysis are very similar. So uh, you are trying to be modest, but you have great insight about how technology is evolving. So definitely he will watch what you say. That's why I
I
want you to give
think so. You're
answers.
talking about the VP of Amazon.
He
Yeah.
would not want to hear my opinions at all. I mean, I'm a nobody. He has much more exposure to technology, to the world leaders, to the tech leaders, and in this space. I think his analysis, you cannot compare his analysis with mine. Mine is maybe only 0.0001% of what he can talk about. So, no way.
Maybe I will try to ask some questions that may make you give answers that may be beyond their analysis.
We can try. Let's see.
Yeah. Thank you for your valuable time. So again, keep going and keep inspiring people like this.
Thank you very much. It was pleasure talking to you. Really, really helpful. And I think I was just telling you earlier as well. This is a great platform. Uh, Especially, you get to talk to people from different disciplines. You get to hear different things. You are not hearing just one narrow uh, viewpoint on technology or anything specific. You're talking about broader things. And yes, everyone has different opinions. Some may be right, some may be wrong, does not matter, but at least it is good that you are exploring all of them and your listeners get to hear all of it and then make informed decision, unlike the some of the things which are happening in the tech space today, suppressing certain information or certain platforms, showing only information based on your preferences to limit you. So yeah, it's a great, excellent effort.
I want your 15 or 20 minutes in the next session so that I want to present you with a complete analysis.
Sure,
Yeah.
we can talk.
Thank you, Naveed, again. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Sai. Pleasure talking
Yeah.
to you. Have a good day.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. I can see again, I think you came back from a jog.
Yeah, just now I came from gym.
Good. Great. So it's a weekend for you, right?
Yeah, it's Friday today in India. And
Saturday.
there, yeah,
No, is it Friday or Saturday?
it's Saturday,
Weekend.
sorry. Saturday, yeah, Saturday, yeah, yeah.
Hey, time flies very quickly.
Yeah. So, uh, yesterday I have stopped there somewhere because of some reason. So I thought to ask a few more questions so that I can tell to my audience as well. So another question is like you're an architect today and you worked as a developer. So development and architecture. So what is the difference and which comes first?
See, I will tell you from a practical point of view, or at least what I have learned myself or seen. the- You do not become an architect without having spent significant amount of time being a developer yourself. So you need to understand the nitty-gritties of what is all involved in development process. And then there comes a stage where you start going a little bit higher level and you start looking at different technologies. You start understanding different components of the ecosystem. It is not just your development or the programming language that you're talking about. You need to understand, at an overall level, what different technologies are available, what different tools are available, and that too not on just from the development perspective. You need to know what are the different infrastructure components, because when you are architecting a solution, you need to look at where this application needs to be deployed at the end of the day. You need to involve your infrastructure teams. You need to understand what are the limitations they have. It might be in terms of, let's say, provisioning the machines, to opening up the firewalls or ports, because you may need to install new software. It may be against a company policy. So you need to bring in infrastructure team, very early on into the process. You also need to talk to the infosec teams, because you need to see if this solution that you are proposing, if it is, let's say, a third party solution you are bringing in, is it going to fit into the organization from a security perspective? They need to do their own due diligence. They have a lot of processes. I have seen working with different infosec teams. They usually send a due diligence questionnaire or a DDQ to the vendors, or sometimes even to us, and that DDQ is somewhere around or anywhere from 150 questions to 300 questions that we have to answer. They're asking for a lot of things. They even go to the level of asking, if it is a third party solution from the vendor, do you have DevOps processes in your workplace, right? What version control system you are using, or how do your developers access the development environments? What access level do they have to the production environments? How are you securing or encrypting data in your development as well as in the production environments? Uh, uh, if we bring our own key, how is that going to be protected? Will you ever get access to that? Is the data encrypted at rest or in transit? So there are a lot of things that they ask for. Or it might be your own internal solution. Even in case of an internal solution, maybe let's say I'm bringing in a solution and I want to have one component which is maybe deploy Power Apps, and Power Apps is something which is going to connect to our on-premise databases. Power Apps is again a service which is on the cloud, whereas our databases might be on-premise in our own data centers. So is that going to be allowed? What is the mechanism? Do we need to install a gateway? They need to check with Microsoft on the gateway capabilities and their, let's say, vulnerabilities, etc. So as an architect, you need to know a lot of things, not necessarily in depth, as I was saying earlier as well, but at least from the breadth perspective, you need to cover a broad spectrum. So only then you can design a solution, you can architect a solution, and then you can go ahead with the actual implementation of that. And the implementation is not just the development part, it is also eventual deployment and the post-live support as well.
So is there anything like you need to work as a developer for certain time, like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or 8 years? Only if you do this amount of time, you can understand how to do architecture for the product or for the service. Or it can be less time. You can work as a developer, but you do diverse work like solving different problems. So what is correct in this?
Sai, for this, I would say there is no right or wrong answer. I cannot tell you, or in fact, no one would ever tell you that okay, you need to work for this much amount of time or on these many projects. It all varies from person to person. So I have seen some developers. I have worked with many developers for the past 15-20 years. My fellow developers as well as the developers that I manage. And I always try to mentor them as well. It all depends on people, on their personal capabilities and their willingness or their drive or their passion to learn more and more. For some developers, when I tell them that guys, you need to go above and beyond what you have been given to do, don't think of it that you are doing this for the benefit of the company. Think of it that you are doing for your own benefit, because you are not married to this company, you are not married to this project, you are just doing this project right now. You may move on to a different project. Today you are working for this company, tomorrow you may want to move on. So don't think that you are married to this company or this project. Think about yourself. Anything new that you are learning, that is for your own benefit. And eventually, from my perspective, let's say if I'm managing someone, my benefit is if you are my subordinate and you learn something new, definitely it's going to help you in your career 90% of the time. But 10% it is also going to benefit me, because if you as my subordinate learn something and you come to me saying, Naveed, I have there is this new technology. Why don't we do or implement this solution using this technology, or we do things this way? It is going to help me and my organization as well. So it's beneficial for all of you. But at the end of the day, it is still your effort. And I have seen some developers who take the advice and they work towards that. Some people, they are happy doing what they are doing and they don't have any passion or any growth aspirations. They are happy doing what they are doing today. Even 10 years down the line, if you ask them what do you want to do, we want to be developer, we want to be coding. It depends on them. So definitely it's your drive, and the more you learn, the more you diversify. And additionally, it is also a factor or a function of the opportunities you are given.
You may be extremely good. Let's say you are willing to learn, you are willing to diversify, you are doing a lot of things. But remember in mind that in your current organization, you are working as a developer. So even if you want to switch jobs today, you may have learned a lot of new things. You cannot apply as an architect role in the new organization, because when they look at your resume, they are going to say, oh, you have been working as a developer for past 5 years. Why are you asking to be hired as a architect? It does not make sense. So it is actually in your current organization, the people you work with, how much of opportunities they are willing to provide, how much trust they are willing to put on you, how much they are willing to groom you, and then they will promote you in this organization slowly. Not it's not going to happen that one fine day you are working as a developer and in the next project you become an architect. So they will groom you slowly. They will start, adding additional responsibilities of architecture, let's say, or business analysis or anything additionally on top of the day-to-day work that you are doing, and they will monitor you. Other people, other architects, your management, they would work with you to support you in that role. And maybe for the next 2 3 projects or 2 3 years or whatever that period of time is, depending on certain scenarios, they will work with you. And then they will say, okay, now you are a proper architect, at least for our organization. Now you can assume that role full time and manage the development process with other developers. You don't need to code anymore. And then after that, it is up to you that you have to go and you have to learn a little bit more about architecture. You have to read about it. You have to go certifications like TOGAF. Uh, uh, and after some time, then you can even apply as a architect in some other organization. So it all depends on so many different factors. There is no things such as this is the duration or minimum duration you need to have, or this is the minimum number of projects that you need to do. No, I wouldn't say so.
But there must be some common thing for every solution architect from anywhere anywhere on this planet, or came with different experiences or different experience with different projects or different time period that they work for as a developer or in another roles. But everybody is solution architect. But the way that they solve problem will be different. Am I right?
That is correct. Yes, everyone has a different way of solving problems, and that is exactly what we want. And just one additional thing I can tell you, there are certain I wouldn't call them shortcuts, but there are certain fast track processes. Let's say if you are a developer, there are a lot of architecture related courses and certifications that you can do, and that can help you pitch yourself as being promoted to the architecture role in your organization or even in a new organization. So there are pathways like those. But I have, at least in my personal experience working or talking to other architects, that is not what I have learned. People usually they do this with the through a process, the one that I mentioned, that they gradually move into that role. And coming back to your question of everyone having different way of solving problems, different mindset, that is absolutely true. Because this mindset also is basically, it is not something that you learn, it is something which is built over a period of time. So if I'm working in company X and you are working in a company Y, I may be working on the finance side, let's say working on finance projects, you might be working on some retail projects, right? The way you solve problems in retail is totally different to the way you solve problems in finance. In finance world, it is more about data. It is more about Excel related computations. Of course, you have to bring them into a solution. It's more about reporting, uh, building drill down reports, a lot of computations happening. Whereas on the retail side, it is slightly different. It's more, let's say, on the order booking, optimizing the process of fulfilling the orders, maintaining, say, inventory, and so on. So what you have worked on in your previous companies or your previous projects, that also shape your thought process, and also the tools and technologies that you have used. So it's a mix of everything. There is no right or wrong in or a best process to move into this role or a best way to act as an architect?
So you worked as a developer for a long time. Now you're doing architecting and also evangelism, more into talking side now from last 10 years. So when you was a developer and when you are not involving or taking part of architecture thing or evangelism side, talking directly with the clients or trying to understand the business side, like business analysis, like you said, business analyst, you never did that, but you would be observing like from as a developer, like what would be the, because I can see you're a very curious person because of the education qualifications that you have very strong foundation with the basics, because when we had the last chat you are talking about everything, infrastructure side of the technology, also you can talk about the software development life cycle. So software development. So working as a developer, understanding business side of the technology in that perspective, now becoming an architect, becoming an analyst, and understanding the business side. And in this evolution of technology in last 20 plus years that you worked, so business have changed, technology has changed, people are thinking in a different way in the world, in global technology.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. Lot has changed. Uh, 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 let's not talk about on the development side or the architecture side. I think, sorry, infrastructure side. Yesterday, I think we did discuss about that, what all has changed. But even in terms of people, the way they approach things, that has changed, right? Because of the evolution of technology and the way they are seeing things happening, they are more into, let's say, process automations. They are more into bringing things like RPAs or robotic process automation. Again, part of that, one process automation is a systematic way. The other is to ease your work. I don't know if you have ever come across RPA. RPA is a technology which is something that you can just give to the users, and for people who are doing mundane tasks, day in day out, it helps them a lot. Let's say if I am as a user, I'm receiving 50 invoices a day, and all I have to do is go to the website, download that invoice, read that invoice, open my, let's say, website or my application, create a new invoice, key in all this information, and submit for approval. That is a basic trivial task which I am doing 50 to 100 times a day. This is where RPA can come in, and RPA can simply, automate this whole process. When I say automate, is basically clicks. So you just tell it, this is exactly what I'm doing. As an example, I open Chrome, I go to the address bar, I type in this URL, I see, okay, this is the new invoice, click on it, download the invoice data, PDF, I run this through an OCR, and then I open my application, click on this new invoice button, start copy pasting the data over there, and then press this button. So imagine how much time this saves. On the reporting side, with tools such as Tableau or Power BI, uh, even the senior management, they have gotten accustomed to, or they want to see more and more information presented to them in a with lot of visualizations, something that they can derive value out of and help them in the decision making. Earlier, with many of the customers that I worked with, I noticed that they used to create crystal reports, uh, with tabular data, or Microsoft Excel reports with pivots and so on. So you have to go through literally thousands of lines of data to see individual numbers and then make calls. Now what we are doing, we are using Power BI to visualize all this information in the form of, let's say, dashboard widgets, maybe a bar chart or maybe a donut chart, a trend analysis. We look at all the historical data. We also bring in tools like AI and machine learning to understand what the trend will be or what the forecast will be. Earlier, this forecasting used to be a very, very manual process. Now people are asking, or management is asking, bring in these tools and help us do this. Even on the sales side, there have been cases earlier. They used to go out, identify the prospects, talk to them, and try to onboard them as customers. Now there are a lot of sources which are available. So there is a process that we can build, which is a lead mining. You identify if this person or this prospect is a right fit for your kind of products that you're offering, and then you reach out to them in a systematic manner. Again, it can be a combination of people's and system, and you onboard them. So a lot of these things, businesses looking into. So people have been changing. Even the processes have been changing. Business has been looking to optimize the processes. That is where process re-engineering comes in, and that is a huge thing which is happening these days. You might have been doing business in certain way for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and it was working. But now, with the advent of technology and how fast the world is moving, you need to revisit those processes and make them either simplified or more optimized, or bring in better processing capabilities, or introduce new things which were not there earlier, which might have been done outside of the systems manually. So all of that is happening now. People are making use of it. Many organizations that I work but that I talk to, the very first thing they ask is, oh, so the solution that we want to build, we want it to be a mobile first solution, right? They don't care that you build us a portal or a Windows application or a desktop application. No, they're saying make the application in such a way that at least say 60-70% of the most common work which many of the people will be doing can be done on the mobile, and the rest complex work in this application or in this process, which is too much for someone to handle on the mobile, let it be done on the desktop or through the web browser. So organizations are even asking for that. And that is true. I was giving you an example yesterday in terms of the digital banks or payments. People have started using mobiles. Up until maybe 4-5 years ago, I never used to read my email on mobile devices. I always used to open up my Outlook client on the desktop, or fire up the browser, go to Gmail, and read the email over there. For the last 4-5 years, I don't remember ever going or ever opened gmail.com. Everything is done on the mobile. Even long emails, I write it on my phone. So that's where people mentality have changed. So people are embracing technology. I would say this is a great thing. And I with the advent of ChatGPT, when ChatGPT came out 3-4 months ago, even though there are a lot of limitations with ChatGPT, but the hype it created, many of the customers that I spoke to, all of them were saying, Naveed, can we incorporate ChatGPT into our processes? So people have, or businesses have started thinking from that angle. And then, I tell them, let's just take a step back. Let's not jump into this. Let us discuss, what do you want to do? If ChatGPT or GPT or anything else that is offering, any other offering on the AI side, if that is going to be helpful for you, then let's implement. But people are looking into these things. They are seeing what other people are doing, other businesses are doing, and they want to incorporate those in their own business. Yeah, it's a huge people and process change.
So in the global infrastructure of the top cloud companies today, it can be AWS or Azure or GCP or Alibaba or whatever the cloud service providers which we have. They have their own data centers in different countries and which are interconnected, and which makes humans from different parts of the world to connect with each other and share information and solve problems of different countries sitting anywhere, from solving problem of any country today. So you have seen from basic computer which solved the basic problems, which has a basic computing capacity and also the basic storage capacity. Today we are using ChatGPT, and which are automating, and which are reducing the human effort and energy. Uh, like you saw human beings before 20 plus years who used to do things by spending a lot of energy. Today they are spending very less energy using this technology. These service providers, mainly cloud service providers. Today data centers, we came to a place in the global technology. We came to a place where we are able to communicate and connect and share information in fraction of seconds, and it became a team. Like countries become team now. So can we expect more productivity now, and can we expect more automation things from today?
Yes, definitely, definitely. Productivity, anyways, has been increasing. I can also tell you, going back, I keep referring to the COVID era. I would say that this pandemic actually accelerated this whole process by maybe tenfolds. Earlier, things were moving very, very slowly on this front. At least in this part of the world, uh, there was a huge reluctance from business side to move to the cloud services, right? But and that is rightly so, because here we were more accustomed to going to office, 5 days a week. Uh, you are mingling with your co-workers, you are talking everything in the meeting rooms, face to face, and all the data, depending on what kind of data we are talking about, but mostly I've worked with the financial sector, so their data is very much sensitive and confidential, and they want to keep it on premise. But and they do have offices globally as well, and it was a nightmare working with them. So take an example. If you want to have, say, if I have a team here, I have a team in Australia, right? There is an 8-hour time zone difference. So by the time my Australian colleagues, let's say, wake up, I will be asleep, and by the time they are asleep, then that is when I'll start working. So there is no overlap. So for that reason, there may be a need to have a separate, say, architect in the Australian office, a separate architect in, say, Bahrain office, a separate architect in, say, Los Angeles, and then separate development teams. It makes the process. It used to make the process very, very difficult. There was no interaction between them. Everyone was making their own decisions. Of course, yes, once in a while we would get together on a phone call, maybe a video conference. We used to do WebEx in those days, which was not practical at all. But now, with the advent of this, people working from home, mostly remotely, they are more flexible in the timings. So I can extend my timings. Someone else can start early in the day, and we now have proper cohesion among the teams. We are working together on processes. I can tell you, in the organization that I work for, we have optimized our SDLC process, the software development lifecycle process, our testing automation process. A lot of the things which earlier we were doing in silos, we have all automated that fully on the cloud. We are not dependent on data in our data centers. We are trying to utilize the cloud services as much as possible. We are trying to bring in automation. So, yeah, the COVID has accelerated a lot of these. The way people work is totally changed. These technologies have helped.
So act of the nature made human to use the technology services more. That's which is pandemic, and uh, human beings who are working on exploring things about the planet, and trying to understand, or trying to solve the solution, uh, trying to get the solution for something by searching for the problem. Here in the pandemic, there was a need, there was a requirement for human to use the technology services. But these space companies in the world, space technology companies in the world, that is not need or requirement. They are going and they are trying to explore, and they're trying to solve the problem. So what do you say? Human need to go and explore things and create technology which helps and which communicates with other parts of the universe, or do we need to wait for the when the nature acts like pandemic?
Okay, so I'll come to the space part later, but on this pandemic. So when I said pandemic accelerated only. It is not that if pandemic had not happened, we would not have done so. So even moving to the technology, it would have anyways happened, but it would have taken probably a bit longer. But because of pandemic, things started moving very fast, and because everything is now moving with technology, or everything is now technology dependent. So excuse me, lot more new technology was also required to be implemented, and you have to cope up with that. A very simple example I gave you earlier was we never used to, or at least I always used to transact using cash or my credit card, physical card. But with the pandemic, there are services like wallet services which you just have in your phone and you make payments. And this is something which started off with pandemic, but because of that service, lot more newer services started getting introduced, and it made things even better. So once you start this process, you cannot stop. You have to keep on innovating and moving forward. Even if this pandemic had not hit, there are some companies which we usually call them the market leaders. They would anyways, regardless of what is happening, pandemic or no pandemic, they will be moving ahead with the technology, and they would be setting the trends, and all of us, the rest of the world, will be trying to catch up. Now in this particular case, just that trend got fast tracked. That's all I will say. So that what has happened. It's not that it would not have happened otherwise. So pandemic was just a reason to fast track, not the reason to make it happen. And going to space, that is a totally different conversation. There are different views on it. uh, on one side, I would say that maybe we are wasting a lot of time and effort going to space, exploring other parts of the universe. The same amount of money perhaps initially can be spent on saving the planet. There are so many things that we are doing wrong on our planet, which is accelerating the destruction or the end of Earth. So maybe we need to reduce greenhouse emissions. We need to work on clean energy and so many of these things, reducing world hunger, and so on. But on the flip side, I'm also in favor of that, because you have to plan for the future. See, right now we have maybe another 4.5 billion years left before Earth is completely destroyed by sun. Because once the sun starts getting running out of the energy, it will start expanding, and by 4.5 to 5 billion years time, it will engulf uh, Earth most likely. So we have to find a way to move to some other place. And not just that, it is also that we are trying to explore what other options, or what other civilizations are there. Maybe we can get in touch with them. We can learn from them, right? So right now we are a type zero civilization, and type zero civilization is someone who is not even utilizing the energy of its own planet. So to the moment we are able to harness all the energy of planet Earth, our planet, we become a type 1 civilization. That is when we would become much, much more advanced than what we have today. Even 30 years ago, if you look, if you say maybe we were at 0.1, or not even 0.1, maybe a minus 0.1, right, level. Now we are little bit ahead of that. The moment we become a type 1 civilization, we would be able to harness full power of our planet. The moment we become a type 2 civilization, we would be able to harness the power of our own solar system. And that is, I believe, the time when we would be able to go out and venture into other parts of our galaxies, or even beyond our own galaxy, which is a Milky Way, uh, into different constellations and so on. And we can make much more progress. So all of these things are definitely required. I know what Elon Musk is doing, especially he has a vision of putting people in on Mars in next 15-20 years. Right now, it seems very, very commercial kind of arrangement. But I think where he's coming from. But again, I will. This is just my opinion. There are a lot of rumors flying around, lot of conspiracy theories. It might be that he wants to maybe mine something from Mars, or use that as a base for something more. He's bringing in say the brain chips, which is, to me at least, very scary, right? But it will open up a lot of good possibilities as well if implemented properly. So any technology that you implement, it has the pros and cons. There are downsides, there are good sides. So you have to take a very judicious call.
So I'll give you another perspective. I was talking about technology, not about the space travel or humans going to other parts of the universe. I was talking about technology advancement. So today we are transferring information in between countries using data centers, putting data centers underwater like Microsoft is putting. Like we are interconnected today. So we are already advanced from last 40 years. If we observe, we have advanced so much. And today we are interconnected. Like I said, if we can do working countries together with the diverse coming from different parts of the world, having diverse information. If we can able to do a project or a mission like whatever the space companies are doing in the world, they are major the technology that they have to use in order to implement that project is the information transfer more than faster, more than what we are doing on the planet. It's not that easy to go to the go above the planet like we say, because it was very tough 20 years back to connect countries, and it's not that easy to go above the sky. We need to have a technology, or we need to have that hardware with which we can create software, with which we can able to still communicate going far from our planet. So I was asking that. So spending money on space travel, it's without having a technology, we cannot spend that much amount of money or anything. So if we can able to do this research and development for space travel, which is above, like this is all we are solving problems that we have. For example, light speed. The main thing is scientists are working on light speed. We are still not able to travel with the infrastructure that we have in our technology. We cannot travel. There are so many things in physics, chemistry. There are so many things connected to it. They are still trying to understand how to travel with the light speed. Humans, we are the humans, if we did not thought that we have to advance and we have to travel from one country to other country, we would not connect today. So only because of these explorers who are trying to innovate new technology which solves problems faster. So being a technologist, is that not important for us to think beyond?
Yes, no, definitely, Sai. You have to think beyond, right? So look at it. If I talk about humans in general, right? See, humans have their limitations. If you look at your population, I can guarantee you 99.9999999% cannot even comprehend what is there to come in next 2 years. They cannot think what more can be done. You look at it, maybe 60, 70, 80 years ago, no one could have even imagined that we could have this capability for, of a telephone. Remember we used to have this through a wire where at least within the cities or a small vicinity, they use threads to connect small, what do you call them? Small, let's say glass type containers where you speak, and using the thread, the voice would be transmitted. Before that, no one could even imagine that. Then came your regular telephone infrastructure. Then came your mobiles, and now using the internet, a lot of things are happening. So if someone asked you 40 years ago, is it possible that there can be something like a mobile phone? No one would have even thought about this or even comprehend what you're trying to say. Today, if I ask you or you ask me what can be there in the field of telecommunications 10 years from now, I cannot tell you, right? Because 99.99% of people like us, we cannot think beyond what is going to be a possibility. That is where that very small percentage, that 0.00000, I don't know how many zeros, and that 1% at the end, they are the people who think they have a vision of doing something out of the box. And that is where the R&D or the research and development effort needs to happen. Money needs to be put in. You need to try out different things, and that is what will make this a possibility. take even this example of ChatGPT. I know, first of all, I'll say that, very emphatically, that ChatGPT is not a magic bullet. It is not something which can solve everything for you. It cannot create new content for you, most likely, right? All it is doing, it has access to lot of data, or in fact, say all the data, whatever it is fed with, and it can use that data. You ask the question, it can infer using machine learning and AI, understand what you're trying to do, look at that data, and present it in the format that you require as an output. But I don't think it can go out and create something new altogether. I don't think it can do that, right? At least not today, not with the technology today. But even with that advancement, see what can happen as a developer. If you want to write a very, very complex application, I was just watching a video, someone had done that using GPT-4. So he just issued a command, a 7-8 lines command saying that I want to create a movie application for iOS using Swift UI. It gave it the instructions that it should be able to present recommendations. I should be able to see movie details. It should be able to get this movie information from a web service. That's all he said. He did not even say which web service to go out to. What what it did, it created an application which is say 90% already there. It knows which web service to connect to. It knows, okay, you need to connect to the moviedb.org API to get the movie information. And it presented, or it created the whole application with the full user interface with a carousel view where you can swipe in, get the movie information and whatnot, right? In 4, 5, 6 minutes, right? So think of that. 95% of the work is already done. Now, if I had to do that myself, first of all, I would take firstly, maybe 2, 3, 4 days just to investigate what all options are available to me. What web service do I need to go to connect and get the information? What is the output that they're providing? What is the input I need to give? I need to create a project. I need to set up the infrastructure. I need to create or work with the UX designers to come up with a design and then code for it. That may very well easily be a 1 to 2 weeks effort for me. And this guy, GPT, it does it for me in 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes. All I have to do is just take it, run it, and fine tune it. So imagine the amount of effort that I'm saving. So what I'm trying to say is that these technologies are there to help us, but we need people to think of it. If there was no one, so OpenAI, their team, they thought of it and they worked towards this to make this happen. I have not gone through the history of how OpenAI was formed or how many people started the company, what was their vision, when did they do this, how much effort or money they have put in. I'm sure they put in a lot of money. Microsoft have been investing with them for the last 4 or 5 years. That I'm certain of. But if they did not think of this idea, this ChatGPT thing would have never happened at all. So you need thinkers, you need people who can envision beyond what is possible today and work to make it happen. Same goes for space.
Awesome. And one last question. What security measures need to be taken when humans are concentrating on artificial intelligence?
I think you must have seen some movies. A lot of your viewers must have seen a lot of Hollywood movies. You know what artificial intelligence can do. Apart from all the good things, it has, uh, there is a possibility it can run wild, depending on how much uh, autonomy you give to it, how much learning or compute power you provide to it. It can go beyond, and it can become destructive as well. I do not think it is going to be the Terminator kind of a scenario, the Terminator movie. I don't think the Skynet is going to take over the world, but yes, it can take over your life. One of the negative impacts I can think of it, again, this is going in line with, say, the brain chip that Elon Musk is trying to implement. That is also using AI at the back end, right? Or the Tesla cars. They are using artificial intelligence to self-drive autonomously and determine their own routes and everything. So this can also have a negative impact because depending on whatever you say want to see, whatever your requirements are, it will be biased and only give you that kind of information. It will not let you see other possibilities. This is what say Facebook has also been doing. Uh, Facebook only shows you what you are interested in. If say even from political viewpoint, if you believe in say right wing, it will show you all the news related to right wing. It will not show you the other side of the story. If you go and search for say MacBooks, it will keep on showing you everything related to computers. It will never show you that you need a say a sneakers or a yoga pant or this or that. It will not do that. So AI currently is the way it is being implemented. I believe it is a bit manipulative as well. So that is something that definitely needs to change. That can be construed, negatively and slow its adoption going forward. So people need to work towards that, and the kind of data that it collects and the way companies make use of this data, that I say is plain wrong.
What is the best advice you can give as a solutions architect for AI workers?
Honestly, on the AI side, I have not done much of the work. I have just started exploring this space, so I would not be able to give any decent advice. But I can say that and this is true for everything, not just for AI workers. Keep on learning, keep your mindset, your horizon open. Look into different things. Don't think that this or something cannot be done. Don't have a narrow mindset. uh, think outside the box, talk to people, uh, think about different possibilities, and always start with the attitude or the mindset that yes, we can make it happen. It may very well turn out that once you are into this project or into this venture or whatever you are trying to do, maybe very early on itself, maybe after 2 weeks itself, or maybe 2 months or 2 years down the line, it turns out that no, you cannot do this. It may very well happen, and there is nothing bad about it, but never start with a negative mindset saying, oh no, what you are trying to do, that is not possible at all, let's not attempt it. Even if you're giving a challenging task, always go with the mindset that yes, let me try to solve it. Let's see what all is required to fulfill say the customer needs, what all we can do. uh, may or may not be possible, that's a different story, but have a positive mindset. And for the artificial intelligence, definitely you need to understand the capabilities of the organization. You also need to understand the capabilities of the tool set which is available right now, say both on the Azure side or AWS side, and especially whatever OpenAI has been doing, that has been incorporated in Azure now. So you can actually go spin up a GPT-4 model in Azure itself, and you can do that. But one of the limitations also is that you need to pump a lot of data from your end. If you don't have a lot of data from your side, no AI or machine learning is going to help you. So you need to understand all of that. If you have lots and lots and lots of data, and you have people, data scientists helping you, model that into the AI uh, framework, then yeah, definitely it can work. But if you just pump data into an AI model, nothing is going to happen. You have to train the model. You need the right people who can understand that data and can make proper models to infer or predict out of that for future.
Last few minutes that you have said, even a single company, organization, or an individual, or an expert, or expert from any industry, not necessary from one industry, or not necessary for one part of the world, who is listening to you, if they listen to you, and if they implement the advices that you have given in last few minutes, you will be the reason for the productivity and the development or their growth.
Say, I would not say it that way. See, I'm just one person. I am giving advice based on my personal experience over the last 20 plus years of what I have seen. Again, I would say I may have a limited mindset. I may have, only one way of thinking. That is where I really like your channel, where you talk to people from different industries, from different disciplines, and everyone is coming from, a different perspective. And that is what I was saying just a minute ago, that you need to keep your mindset or your horizon. You need to broaden your horizon. Don't stick to what just one person is saying. Don't just listen to what Naveed is saying. What has worked for me may not work for you. But you listen to me, you listen to a second person, you listen to a third person, the 10th person. You take advice or bits and pieces of different advices from different people, and the way it works for you. Maybe one part of the, or maybe one advice out of 10 that I've given you may work for you, but the rest may not. So you only take that part. Don't just say that if I have done something, you need to follow that. That's not how it works. That's where I said, keep on learning, keep your mindset open. That's the most
Okay,
important thing.
that's wonderful, the analysis that you gave. Uh, at last, you already said, but I want your observation. Because you have so much experience, your words are extremely valuable for me. So your feedback. So what is your observation about my work?
I think yesterday I did mention that, so I really like the concept. Uh, to be very honest, before that, all the podcasts that I used to listen to, or all the YouTube channels that I follow, they are very much uh, tuned to my uh, suitability to my needs or my mindset. So with this, I actually listened to a couple of interviews that you had done with different people, and I was surprised because people have different views, and that's exactly what I said, right? Maybe I'm taking that advice from watching your videos, and I'm giving that advice that keep your mindset open, listen to different people, and take advice and make it work for you. So it's a good idea. And I know when you reached out to me, I was thinking it's going to be purely a technology related discussion. But I'm glad that it is not something, specific to what I have been doing. It is more of a general conversation altogether on different bits and pieces, even space, which I don't understand. But yes, this is great. So I hope that your viewers must be benefiting a lot from all these different interviews that you're doing with people all over the world.
And what is your observation about my questioning in this conversation?
As in, what do you mean?
My questions. How was my questions?
No, your questions are very, very, very spot on. You did not stick to just, one part or one aspect. You tried to broaden it. You tried to cover the development aspect, the architecture. You even ventured into the space, how people should move into the AI, how technology is moving from, let's say, past 20 years, how we can benefit more from it. So these are different type of questions which are very, very diverse, and I think this is the right line of flow for these kind of interviews. So I'm very happy, the way you have
Thank
proceeded with this.
you. Thank you very much. It means a lot to me, your words. So, can you share your web links with my podcast listeners and my YouTube people? The work that you are doing, or the information that you share that may helpful for them.
Sure, I can. I'll share the links with you, and then you can use those in your. Uh, you can share that with your viewers. Happy to do
Yeah.
that.
But can you spell it to my podcast listeners? They can see it.
Spell it as in.
It can be your website or where you write
Yes,
content.
so I do have a website where I blog. I used to be quite active on Twitter, but these days I'm very busy with work, with some of the projects, so I'm not finding enough time to go on Twitter and tweet much. I do make occasionally some YouTube videos on different mobile technologies for developers to benefit from those. And my videos are not specifically, 101 kind of videos. They are not targeted for beginners who want to learn a certain technology. It is more for developers who are already, let's say, an expert or more than above average. They know the tool set. Then they have been working with it for quite some time, and my videos are on solving some real world use cases or real world scenarios. So that is what I usually do. I don't talk about the 101 or getting started kind of things. And then I think that's pretty much it. I also contribute a lot to the open source. So I have a GitHub. Uh, Maybe that is something I can also share with you, my GitHub repo. So there are a lot of open source projects that I have worked on and I have shared with the community. So if maybe some of your developers on Microsoft side, at least .NET side, if they can benefit from it, I would be very happy that it helps someone.
I'll share those links. Can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Definitely, definitely.
And also, can I put this audio and video clip on my podcast, website, internet, social media, everywhere with your permission?
Please go ahead. No issues from my side. As long as you are not, twisting any of the words or, that's the only thing I would be worried about. But
But
other, no issues.
but I will share you I'll share the feedback that you have given about my work on my social media platform, so that what I'm doing, other people can know, like what experts like you, what you people are saying about my work, so that that helps people to come to my show. Instead of putting the content, they won't watch the content on social media. I will pull them through my through the feedback that you experts given me on social media. That actually made me gain so many followers and pull a lot of experts to my show.
Definitely. That would be great. No
Thank you
issues
very
from.
much. Thank you
Thank you,
very
sir.
much, Naweed.
Pleasure talking.
It's valuable for me.
Okay, it was very good talking to you. Have a good day and enjoy your weekend.
You too, sir. Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.